Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ann Keppel, and I'm so excited you have taken interest in learning about graphs and Gabs, how to leverage Tableau and Slack. My partner in crime, Rajesh, and I are doing a virtual replication of what was done at Tableau conference this year. So we hope this is helpful and you follow along, not in a VM, but in your own actual org or sandbox environment for Tableau and Slack. So without further ado, let's jump in, and we always start with a big thank you. Thank you for your interest in this topic and for wanting to join us today. Of course, what webinar is complete without a forward-looking statement and friendly reminder to make purchasing decisions off of currently available products. As I mentioned, my name is Ann Kedwell. I'm a lead solution engineer at Tableau, coming up on around 2 years, but 8 years total within the Salesforce and Tableau ecosystem. I am an enterprise SE aligned to banking and have always kind of been in the highly regulated industries. But today is about Slack and Tableau, so we thought, what better way to introduce ourselves than with our favorite Slack emojis? Mine happens to be the Salesforce Parents and Families logo, which is one of our amazing business resource groups at Salesforce. I have the honor and privilege of representing our EMEA region as RVP. And I'll let Rajesh introduce why his Slack emoji is his favorite in a little bit. So Rajesh and I, a couple months ago, we were pitching ideas and we said, we need a session at Tableau conference because we need more content talking about what Slack and Tableau can do together. So our North Star, and it continues to be this today, is answering the following question. How might we put data at the center of every conversation and every process? So we hope this question is one of the questions that piques your interest and what you'll get out of today. So we have 3 goals. We'll go through kind of the basics, understanding integrations between the two. We hope you get inspired. Today is all about learning different things that you didn't know you could do between the two systems, and then feel good about the resources to keep it going. So at the end of this, we'll cross-link to the different materials, help articles, etc., that can help you on your learning journey. So for an agenda, we'll walk through a little bit of story time for inspiration. You'll follow along with our demo, and we will recap the 7+ things, hopefully, that you take away from today, and close with a big thank you. So for story time, we want to introduce 2 critical perspectives that you may run into in your day-to-day life. The first one is the perspective of Danielle. Danielle is a sales manager. She's busy. Large quota, large team, low patience. She needs things fixed fast, and she loves data. But when there's an issue with something like a pipeline report or a sales territory dashboard, she needs it fixed ASAP. Assets like this fuel the business, fuel her team. They know who to call, who to prioritize, who to segment out in an asset like this from their sales territory assignments. But last week she missed $1 million deal because something on here wasn't right, and it's really, really costly, and she was pretty upset at Jacob, who was supposed to fix it. But Jacob's working really, really hard. He has a lot of Danielles, not just one. He has like 30. So he's stressed. He is trying to make sure that he has the business impact that he wants, but it's a lot to balance. He feels a little bit like this. Requests are coming in from everywhere, from phone calls, from emails, from Slack. It is a lot to manage, and it's a lot to prioritize, and to know the difference of what's urgent versus important, what's urgent and important. Those distinguishing factors really play a role into what needs to be updated by when and for who. So what if there was a better way? Well, it starts with an asset like a Tableau visualization and a centralized location within that asset that is pointing people to give feedback. So it's not just a person, it's a location. No more pinging a Jacob with these requests. You're sending to a location, not a person. And we want to reinforce that location, not just once in one spot, in multiple spots. So we really want to air traffic control people to that location. And that location can host something like a submission form for people to submit feedback when they have bug reports, feature requests, etc. There's a easy way to submit that feedback. And when you submit feedback, it generates data. And when we generate data, we can analyze it in so many different ways and cross-cut the information. But all this sounds great, but if it's not easy to use from a UI and UX perspective, and if it's not easily integrated with our existing systems, it probably won't work. But when we look at what we have outlined here, we have actually just created the requirements for a really high quality feedback loop. And this is a hint of what you'll see in the demonstration today. So what's the impact of a feedback loop like that? Well, everybody wins. Danielle and Jacob agree that customers see the difference. And when we say customers, we mean internal customers, teams like the sales team, and external customers, Danielle's ultimate customers, because they see the difference when they are when they receive relevant information, timely information that they feel like it's customized to them. So everybody wins when we keep data at the center of every business process and every conversation. This isn't just a story. This is how Salesforce and Tableau run our business. I'd like to introduce Olga. Olga lives in Europe, and she is an amazing senior manager in sales strategy aligned to operationally running 300 plus SEs around the world. So if you imagine, to our earlier story about Jacob, imagine Olga getting all these requests and Slacks and phone calls of when we need things updated, let's say on our time recording dashboards or anything operationally to run the business, pipeline reports, deal contribution, you name it. So we have, of course, our own Tableau visualizations, and within that, there is a centralized location that sends us to a Slack channel, and that Slack channel hosts a feedback form. So that feedback form becomes critical in terms of the data output that Olga and team use to prioritize what updates are made to the dashboards. But I have to say, as an end user of this, I really feel more connected to Olga. I feel that Olga is hearing my ideas. I know that they're being scanned and tracked and monitored, and ultimately the end product of what we're building together is so much better. So I'm definitely more invested because I feel like my voice is being heard. So lots of benefits there. A lot of people know about Slack, but a lot of people don't really know the amazing automation capabilities behind it when we say Slack workflow. So this is a no-code workflow builder that you can manage data inputs and data outputs. Think a simple form like a Google form, but it's all in Slack. And the great benefit behind that is you're ultimately creating a data source. And when you create a data source, you know what you can do, visualize it. So going back to our feedback loop, this is an example of when do you use Slack and when do you use Tableau in what phase of your feedback loop journey. So we will dive in with the demonstration. So again, this is our first time kind of trying to replicate this. So we hope you follow along and are able to replicate on your own. So hopefully the speed's okay. And if not, speed up or speed down. That's the bonus of on-demand learning. So the asset that we shared in the previous example is actually from Tableau Public. We love Tableau Public. We have millions of our data fam posting and sharing every day. And this is just kind of a friendly reminder that you can go and explore and get inspired and obviously download from here to get started. But the reason why we picked this dashboard is because it has this really nice existing button up here already. And it's a little small, so I'll read it out loud. It says, click here to learn more about Tableau for sales analytics. Well, we need to change that. We need to change it to something like, click here to submit feedback. And so we'll walk through how easy it is to do that. So I've downloaded the viz, and here is our first chance at changing the location. So there are two things that we're going to have to do once we create a Slack channel, which we'll do in a minute, and then we'll come back to building it out here. The first thing we need to do is change the text of here, this button, and then we need to make sure that the hyperlink is linking somewhere, right? So we don't have that location yet. We need to create it in Slack. And again, we want to do that by creating a Slack channel. This is Slack, so if you haven't logged in before, you know, there's channels and different information, your activity, direct messages, etc. But this is an example of what an end state could look like for your organization. There's a specific channel dedicated to an asset like sales territory feedback, where we link the asset. This one's going to that Tableau public page, but we'll update it with our own one later. And then the territory viz feedback form. So this is that we have a centralized location, and then we have a form within that. But for right now, all we want to do is create that channel URL, because that's what we need in our viz to point people to. So it's super easy to create a channel. All I have to do is press create channel, and then I'm going to select which workspace I want it in, and then I'm going to give it a test. So on-demand training is awesome. So we'll do that and make it public. And there we have our perfect Slack channel. If I hover over this on the left side, what I really need more than anything is this link. And I know that this is kind of a shell, but that's fine. I just need to copy this link because, again, I need to plug it into this sales territory dashboard. So now that I have a location, I'm going to jump to this sheet, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to edit alias, and all I'm going to do is say click here to submit feedback. Now it's Tableau, and so obviously there's a ton of different ways to do this with external actions, but I'm just simplifying it and using that existing Tableau template. So when we go back to our dashboard, woohoo, it's changed, but we're not done yet. We need to make sure that the URL is going to the channel that we want. So if we go to dashboard actions and we select hyperlink 1 and edit, this is that sales analytics. Well, I don't want to go to sales analytics. I want to go to the Slack channel, and I'm going to rename it. And then all I have to do is paste in my Slack channel. Woohoo! That's super easy, right? So that's it. Those are two things that we've done, but we mentioned before about this centralized location. So that's one air traffic control point to the Slack channel, but Rajesh is going to show you in a little bit a couple other places where we can also redirect this, because this is really handy from the data consumer perspective, but we want to make sure that it's also on things like data guide or in the project folder as well. So let's go back to Slack, because now we are sending people here, but they're being sent to a blank location. So we, again, could add that bookmark to the end Tableau visualization that we upload. So this channel is not only hosting the feedback form, but it's also hosting the asset. But we want to do, we really want to build the workflow. So let's go back to that other example. And this is what a feedback form looks like when we talk about managing inputs and outputs, right? So you select who you are, kind of what role you're in, maybe your feedback type. Am I reporting a bug, an idea, praise? Everyone likes praise. Level of severity. This is really, really great because you can manage expectations, and everything that you're seeing here is completely within your control. So we'll walk through what it's like to actually build your own form from scratch, but everybody likes ideas. So here we go. So it's that easy. That is what a form looks like. So let's go through the process of replicating that and adding it into our blank channel. So if I go to more and I go to automation, I want to create a workflow. And I want to create a workflow from a Slack link because I really need a URL to be able to trigger this. I'm going to title my Slack workflow, and I'm going to say Friday because today's Friday. no special characters, good to know. And now on this side, I need a form. So I'm going to pull over my form and I'm going to title my form Friday form. And this is where I can start building my questions. So do I want to have different questions around bugs, names? Do I want the question to be a drop-down, a file type, a paragraph, all of these things? There's so many different options, right? So let's just do, what severity is this? And then, super easy, high, low, medium. But you get the point. It is limitless in terms of all the different questions that you want to be able to add in. And let's save. So let's say that we add in a couple different questions here. But now I get to choose where I want these questions to go. Do I want to send them to a Google Sheet? Do I want to send them or to Excel? That's always an option as well. So you can choose where you want the responses to go. And this is critical because this is ultimately going to be your database that you use in Tableau to analyze that data. So how easy is that? So take a couple minutes, play around with what that looks like. So I am going to finish up and publish this workflow because, again, I need that URL. I need to add this Slack workflow to my channel that I just created. So I'm going to copy this link. And then I'm going to go back to home and my awesome channel here. I'm going to add a bookmark. And maybe I'll say, again, it's not Friday, but this is representative of submit your feedback here. So now everybody knows that the channel that we just created has the link to the feedback form. And I can also add the link to the actual visualization that I just created too. So everything's in the same spot. Things that you could do and add to this area are things like FAQ documents. So you could even add a question in to say, before you submit feedback, did you check out the FAQ document? Because maybe there are some self-service answers or resources in there that can help prevent things like bug reports. Maybe it's not a bug, it's just the data refresh is only coming at 5 p.m. every day. Little things like that, but that really helps reduce the noise of the quality, or reduce the noise of the requests coming in to make sure that they're super quality and you can kind of weed out the other ones. So to recap, we just created a location for our Slack work, for our feedback form. We created a form within the Slack channel to make sure that people can submit feedback. Awesome. So with that, I will hand it over to Rajesh to dive a little bit more into some other cool things that we can do with Slack and Tableau from this side of the house. Once we publish it, we could do tagging. We can redirect the Slack channel location to a couple different locations.
Hello everyone, welcome to our recording for Tableau with Slack. And probably you would have seen the introduction that Anne has given about the whole session, exercises, and the whole workflow of how Tableau can integrate with Slack and then the different use cases. Just want to introduce myself quick, and I want to get into some of the exercises, which will be a continuation of what Anne had already shown from the Slack side. Myself, Rajesh Pandurangam, I work as a lead solution engineer at Salesforce, supporting tech enterprise accounts on the West Coast, based out of Seattle. And my favorite emoji is this data rockstar, because the best moment for me as being a Tableau SE is creating sessions like these, creating recordings, presenting at Tableau conferences, meeting with customers. So that's been one of my grateful experiences working with Tableau and Salesforce. So I'll quickly jump over to the part where Anne had shown you on how to download a dashboard, how do you publish the dashboard to your site, And then within a dashboard, we have this exercise of creating a hyperlink where you submit feedback to a channel. Now, additionally, let's say there are Slack channels, and then you want to include Slack channels in different ways. Now, there is a data guide option that was introduced in Tableau last year, where when I edit a dashboard here, or when you log into your Tableau desktop, and then when you open this data trail guide kind of icon, you can add details about the dashboard itself. This can be a description, and you can additionally add all your resources. This can be a training document, your HighSpot page, maybe suggested dashboard, or once you look into this dashboard, what other dashboards that you want to look into. These are some additional resources that you can add to the data guide. Now, let's say we have a Slack channel that we have already created, right? I come in and I copy this link of the Slack channel. So let's say copy link, and I go into my data guide right now. So I click on add link, and let me call this any feedback post to this channel. I have a typo here. Let me go change this, post to this channel, and then I'm pasting my URL over here. I click on OK. Now I have a link to the Slack channel from this section of the data guide as well. So this is one way that I can publish Slack post and everything to the data guide. Additionally, what are the other locations that we can embed the Slack channel into the Tableau world? Let's say you have a project, and someone looks into the project, and then there might be use cases where, okay, who do I reach out to for publishing a data source to this project? Or maybe I want to look into the dashboards in this project, and I want to add other people to this particular project from the security standpoint. Anything that's specific to a project, how can we add a Slack channel to this project? So in every single project, you will notice that there's an eye icon. I'll go back here. I see an information or the details icon next to the project. I click on this, then I have an about section which can be edited. So when I click on this, I can easily edit the content about the project itself. And underneath that, I'm going to have a show formatting hints where I can include a hyperlink for the Slack channel itself. So the exact same Slack channel. So I can say any questions on this project, reach out to RevOps team Slack channel. All right. Now, this is just the text that I've added in the edit section. How do I include the Slack channel itself? So let's say I want to hyperlink the RevOps team Slack channel, right? I'll easily add a double quotes to this and then add a single colon. Basically, I'm using the formatting that's given over here. And now I paste my Slack channel. I can preview this, and then you're already seeing this, right? Any questions on this project, reach out to RevOps team Slack channel. I click on save, and now I have the Slack channel updated in this project. So let's say a user comes in, they select this information icon, they see, oh, okay, so if I need to add users to this project or anything for publishing data sources or anything related to workbooks, anything on this channel, I can select this, and then it automatically take me to this RevOps team Slack channel, so which opens up over here. Okay, pretty simple and easy. So it's not just to the projects itself. Let's say there is a particular data source. So in this example that Anne was going through about the Slack workflow feedback example, let's say I go into the data source itself. Similarly, I have an eye icon, I can edit this, and then I can add the same thing. So maybe let's copy the exact same part, and then I'll paste this. I'm going to copy this part and cancel, go back to this, select the eye icon, edit, and then I'm having the same. You can have like other specific Slack channels for this particular data source as well. Maybe there's a link to the user who created this data source as well. Okay, so this is one example. I'll save this. Additionally, let's say we add data quality warnings, right? So you have data labels, and then you have certification that you can add to a data source. So let's say I select a certified data source. I could also add the same message in this formatting guide where anything that is certified, maybe there is another list of data stewards list of users who are data stewards on a separate Slack channel. Maybe you want to include that. So here is another option here as well. So I click on save, and now if I go in, I select, I have this place, and as well as this data quality channel as well. So they have this in this example. All right. So these are some 3 quick examples on how to have this feedback loop within your dashboard. One, you can have inside the dashboard as a hyperlink. You can add within the data guide. You can add within the project, and including that in the data source and its properties as well. All right. Have fun exploring Tableau with Slack capabilities. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Rajesh. So now we are on a new topic. We are on the topic of making sure that the announcements that we're using Slack for are landing. So in this example, we're on a global announcements channel, and it's looking awesome and formatted. You know, it's a big welcome. I see some buttons. I see some emojis. It's pretzel day. Amazing. The reason why this is formatted this way is through a great tool called BlockKit. So sky's the limit in how you want to message your messages, obviously. But the big takeaway here is on important messages, what are your options to ensure that the message is landing from a sentiment analysis perspective? So we're going to walk through a fun way to explore that with Tableau. So it's a matter of exporting the reactions, the emojis, and then analyzing them in Tableau. We're just doing emojis today, but imagine the possibilities of what you could do in terms of sentiment analysis for different things like comments. Disclaimer though, it definitely depends on what version of Slack you have to be able to export public or private or direct messages. So definitely check what version you're on. So I'll walk through the example of exporting manually today, but again, you can use different APIs, different systems to automate it, but we'll just do the manual walkthrough today. So I am going to go to my kind of home area for tools and settings, and then I'm going to go to workplace settings and then select the workspace that I'm in. And then it is going to populate on a different screen. So let me go here. Nope, we could just do it on here. That's okay. So this is, now I'm not in Slack, I'm in a different kind of browser version of it, which is A-okay. This is great. This is details around settings and permissions. This is where I want to be. If I go to import and export data, these are my options, but again, we're talking about exporting. We want to know what's going on with that Slack message, if it was well received or not. So at a glance, I see here's what's included, messages sent in public and private channels, etc. And then I can select the date range of whatever I want, whether it's last 24 hours, entire history, etc. And then if I wanted to schedule, I could always do that. But again, plug for doing it via API if it's easier. So when we export this, it's going to be exported as a JSON file. And that JSON file obviously can be imported into Tableau. So we, with a little bit of demo magic, I just already preloaded what that Slack message is, but we just wanted to give you a sense of what does it look like from a data perspective when we view it in Tableau. So we are talking about reactions, right? So I am just doing a quick view of the different reactions and maybe the count of them. Not sure why that is pulling up, but sky's the limit. You could add an image role if you wanted to. You could do different calculations. There's lots of different kinds of smiley faces, obviously, but how much easier is it to do it in Tableau versus, manually counting all of these things? So just, again, a fun thing you may not have thought about Tableau and Slack. We talked about doing our workflow before too. So in the scenario where you've chosen Google Sheets or Excel as an output location for the feedback form, we also want to be able to analyze that in Tableau. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and open a new workbook based off of that data. And this is kind of helpful because if you're not sure what to put in your Slack workflow from a question perspective, when you view it in a data format like this, it kind of gives you ideas of what you need to analyze that then informs the question types and the structure in which you want open-ended or close-ended, multi-select, single-select type options. So we can see feedback type, delivered by, sky's the limit on how much descriptions that you want to see, the counts, etc. But just an idea to see what you want to explore and then prioritize or add in additional weighting. So hope that helps, and I'll let Rajesh close us out.